Tony in Los Angeles, listening on Immaculate Heart Radio. Tony, why are you an atheist?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
First of all, an atheist is not someone who does not believe in God. An atheist is someone who does not believe in a personal God. There may be a God, there may be thousands of gods. The God I reject is the God who supposedly is a loving God, a God who cares, a God who intervenes. All we have to do is look at things like the Holocaust, slavery, children in cancer clinics. You as a Christian believe that God could intervene, but he does not. So here's this loving God observing the Holocaust, gas chambers, slavery. I don't have to tell you what blacks went through. Children in cancer clinics. It absolutely makes no sense unless you accept the personal God, but besides loving him, blaspheme and curse him. Why would you not curse a God who allows human suffering?
That's a good question, Tony. Why does God allow suffering? You describe moral evils, humans wronging one another, and natural evils, things like cancer, disease, things like that. Let me ask you a question. You don't believe in a personal God, or at least a God who is loving or good because of these evils. If God were loving, what should he do in response to, let's take moral evils, like people robbing, stealing, raping, killing each other? What should God do in response to that?
He did in the Old Testament. Intervene with all the bad people.
Wait. Are there...
And this way...
Tony, are there people who never do a single bad thing? Don't we all do even minor bad things at some points?
Wait, you're playing the wrong game with me. Let me tell you the right game. The game is that your God, your loving God, by definition, allows human suffering. That's right. What you believe. So don't try to sidestep and get into these other areas. This is the unanswerable question because it makes no sense. And
Tony,
you know it.
Tony, I am answering the question, Tony. I'm answering it, and you're saying God allows evil, and that's why you don't believe in him. So I want to know from you, what should God do so that you would believe in him? Because it seems to me to get rid of all the moral evils, wouldn't he have to make us robots without free will? Or just permanent, anytime we do anything to hurt one another, even tell a lie, God zoops in and shuts our little mouths so we don't tell a lie? Should God do that for every single bad thing that we do?
You're talking to the wrong guy. Not the every little bad thing. The Hitlers, the Holocaust, the children in cancer clinics.
I want to know where you draw the line. Should God stop drunk people from driving in cars?
Are you thinking? Are you still with us?
I'm here.
Okay, Tony.
So what do you think about that example? Should God, if you're drunk, he swoops in and keeps you from you can't find your keys so that no one gets run over by a car, like children?
No, the serious people, the Hitlers, just open up the
why not? Why shouldn't God
allowed? You would not allow it if you saw a child in the street being abused. You would not allow it. You will go out and do something. It's not up to us. This is the point you're missing. It's not up to us to understand God. It's the point you're missing.
But Tony, it sounds like you understand that he was wrong about allowing things like the Holocaust. So it sounds like you understand what God should or shouldn't do.
If there is a personal God, not just I, anyone, not just I, anyone would say he should have intervened, and he should intervene.
All right, my last question. Why should he intervene? Is it a fact that he ought to rid evil from the world?
You bet.
Okay, can you prove that fact?
It's not up to me to do that. I observe the universe. I observe human suffering. It's you Christians who believe that God allows it, because you believe that if he wanted, he could intervene.
Yeah, but Tony, you're saying...
Atheist. That's why atheists are atheists.
Okay, all right. I think we're probably going to have to move on at this point, but I think we've got to the root here, and I think this is very instructive about what happens when the subject of evil and suffering comes up. And I agree that it's very emotional to see terrible things happen in the world. But notice something interesting with our discussion up to this point. It's okay for God to allow certain kinds of evil, small things, telling a lie, maybe even drunk driving. We never got a clear answer on that. But he should definitely stop Hitler and really, really bad things. So it seems to me that Tony and other atheists understand God could have good reasons for allowing quote-unquote minor evils, but it's the major ones he should step in for. Now, I would come at it as a Christian. I'd look at it this way. If God is all-powerful, and I see reasons for the minor evils, what about the major ones? Well, I can't see the reasons why God would allow really bad things to happen. I can see reasons for the minor, but not the major. But if God is all-powerful, then I should give him the benefit of the doubt that he has reasons that I, as a fallible, finite human being, cannot see. And when the Holocaust comes up, as it often does when we talk about the problem of evil, Hitler was not one person who just pressed a button one day and killed 6 million Jews and millions of other people. The Holocaust happened because of centuries of small evils, lies, slander, calumny towards Jewish people and others, building and building, hatred, greed, avarice, building on top of one another until you get the Holocaust. That gigantic evils we see in the world usually don't just come out of the blue. Moral evils, I would say. Mm-hmm. They are small moral evils that build and build and build. So we see that if we want a world free of moral evil, God would have to take away our free will. He would have to take away so many good things. So maybe God can allow evil so he can bring more good from it. Goods like love, courage, compassion, free will. And that's part of the mystery of how an all-loving, all-powerful God can bring good from the evil that we see. And so I think evil can point us to God in that respect.
Is it fair to say then that God does, in fact, set a limit on evil? I mean, he doesn't let the Holocaust go on forever. Not even a human life can go on forever. But it's just not the limit that we set. That he doesn't set the limit where we would, or in the way we would.
Oh, it's interesting. We say, well, why doesn't God intervene? It's an interesting question because we might say, well, perhaps there were other terrible evils. Maybe someone was going to wipe out the entire human race, and God providentially intervened to stop that. And we've never heard about it because it never happened. We don't know. We only know the evils that did happen, we're aware of. And we say, well, why would God do something like that? And for me, I would say I might not know the answer to particular evils. Why this particular bad thing happened, every single reason for it. But I know general reasons why God allows there to be evil in the world, because he created man. He wants us to have certain goods, living in a physical world, being embodied, having free will. And with those goods, there are parasitic evils that are attached to that. And so God, though, redeems the world by scouring and purging evil from it, even until the very last day, and brings this eternal weight of glory to us and reckons all things at the end of the world.